Don't kill cheesy.
So today we're going to be talking about vaginal wetness and dryness. You know, sometimes during the act of sex, there's this tendency that the vagina gets dry when you don't want it to get dry yet. You know, that's in the heat of the moment when you're still enjoying, and then it goes dry and the penis is finding it hard to penetrate. You know, that friction can cause a lot of pain, some tear and discomfort, and then you don't enjoy the sex again. Now, what's the solution to this? The use of lubricants. Now, we have different types of lubricants, and that's what we're talking about today. We have the oily, we have the water-based lubricants, we have silicone lubricants, we have different kind of lubricant. But before I go into that, I'm going to be talking about the benefits of lubricants and why women would need this. Now, dryness is usually common in people, maybe when you're taking some kind of medication. Sometimes when you're using birth control, it could cause vaginal dryness. Even when you're breastfeeding, it could cause this. Sometimes it could be due to menopause, sometimes some disorder, or if a woman is undergoing therapy. Sometimes it could even be something as minute as dehydration, not taking in enough water. These are the things that can cause dryness of the vagina. Now, what are the different type of lubricants that are available to be tried on the vagina? Like I said initially, different lubricants performs different function, and so you should look out for the one that is good for you before you decide which lubricant you want to buy. So we have the water-based lubricant, and that's the one I'll be talking about. This water-based lubricant, we have two basic types. There are some with the glycerin and some without the glycerin. Now, the basic difference is that the one with the glycerin has sweet taste for people that like to involve in oral sex, and then the penetration sex at the same time. So if you're using a lubricant with glycerin, fine, so you feel a good taste, as sweet taste. If you're using one without glycerin, a water-based lubricant, you tend to have a bitter taste, so it means you might not be able to have the oral sex using that. Now, another thing about, I'm going to be telling us the advantage and the disadvantage of those lubricants we're talking about. So another thing about this is that for the water-based lubricant, it gets dry on time. It gets dry in time, so you might need to keep reapplying. You know, when you check and you see that it's wet, you still keep reapplying. But the good thing about water-based lubricant is that it's usually very cheap. So it's very cheap. So both type, either the glycerin free or the one with glycerin, it's good if it works well with you. But I also need you to understand that over time, this water-based lubricant becomes sticky. You know, it becomes sticky on the vagina, and so it might, you might need to stop the sex, clean off. So it has some basic disadvantage, if you will call it that. Now, there are some types of water-based lubricant. You can check up others, but we have the Astroglide, we have Dr. Johnson Good Head. These ones are with glycerin, and for those I know that are without glycerin, we have the Isabel Faye, and then there are some other ones without glycerin. So that's that about the water-based lubricant. Now let me go to the second one. Well, I personally like the second type of lubricant. That's the silicone-based lubricant. And why? It's because it's usually oily, it lasts longer. You don't need to start to reapplying. The major disadvantage of silicone-based lubricant is that you cannot use a silicone-based lubricant and still use a silicone toy. You know, the sex toys, we'll talk about that some other time. So you cannot use a silicone-based lubricant and use the silicone sex toy. You tend to spoil those toys on time. But apart from that, silicone-based lubricants are good. Then again, they are not really safe with condoms. Silicone-based lubricants are not really safe with condom because they can break the condom, as in they make it ineffective. But if you're somebody like some of us that you like sex in the shower, you know, the tap is running and then the sex is going on, then silicone-based lubricants will last under such in such circumstances, unlike the water-based lubricant. So it lasts longer, it lasts it's not really sticky like the water-based lubricant, and it's not Sometimes, okay, it depends. That's if you're using a toy with it, it becomes gummy, but otherwise it doesn't become gummy. So the silicone-based lubricant is when you want something that lasts longer, something that gives you that feel of slide, of this oily gliding. That's the best thing to go off. And it's very hard to wash off. Yeah, after the whole act, you need to really settle down and make sure you clean it off properly. It doesn't just go off. You have to do a lot of scrubbing because you have to get it all off your vagina. So it's very hard to wash off. That's another disadvantage of the silicone-based lubricant. So you choose what works for you. Example of some of the products of some of the lubricants that make silicone products. We have the wet platinum, we have the penchant platinum, what's it called, penchant premium, wet platinum, then penchant premium. So these are some of the products you can try if you're looking for a silicone-based lubricant. Then the third is the oil-based lubricant. Now there are different types of oil-based lubricants. Some people go for coconut oil, and it's very good. I'll recommend it anytime. Coconut oil. Just make sure it's, these days we have different coconut oil that are not really coconut oil. So just make sure it's the original. And you can make this yourself. Just check out how to make coconut oil. It's not hard. You can get it done yourself. So example of oil-based lubricant is the coconut oil. And these oil-based lubricants are generally safe, very safe to use, very inexpensive, and very accessible. That's it. Another good thing about it is that it hardly irritates your skin. I didn't mention that about the water-based lubricant. Because of the glycerin, at times you have irritation, and if you're somebody with yeast problem, you have yeast infection of in your vagina, then you shouldn't use the water-based lubricant with the glycerin because it will activate the yeast infection more. So, but for the oil-based, you hardly have all these issues. So oil-based lubricant is also one very good one, affordable. Coconut oil, just get it, and that's just what you use. That's an example of the oil-based oil lubricants. Apart from the fact that it's natural, the synthetic in the oil can also destroy condom, especially latex condom. It can cause condom failure, and then sometimes, not sometimes, most time it can stain fabric. So if your bed sheet is white, don't expect to have it white after using this kind of using oil-based lubricants most time. Sometimes you could avocado. You could get this from avocado, vegetable oil, olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil. These are things that you can get oil-based lubricants for, and they're very good for massage. When as the husband, you just want to. I'm going to be teaching in a video, one of my video. I'm going to be teaching us about how to make a woman achieve orgasm just with your finger. I would do that teaching very soon. Just with your finger. It's one method that you just need to do for 15 minutes orgasm therapy, and you get results. So it's when you want to do oil-based lubricants, is good for such a thing. It's good for working on the body, the massage of the private part is good for it. And all these lubricants, I encourage people, when you want to use it as a woman, also try and rub it on your husband's penis, so it's on both sides. It makes the job faster and easier and fun. And then lubricants should not be something you apply when you're about to start sex. You should apply it even from the foreplay. You understand? You should make use of the lubricant even while the foreplay is going on. You get it? So that's good for that's it for lubricant. Now we have the fourth type of lubricant. That's the natural lubricant. Natural oil-based lubricants are in the oil-based lubricant, the one I talked about initially, the number 3, are not the only natural products in the market. Now some companies have produced organic or vegan lubricants made of botanical and other eco-friendly ingredients, and so they call this natural lubricant. The advantage of this is that it is free of paraben. This paraben is a preservative used in most other lubricants, and sometimes it has some certain health risks. Now, these natural lubricants are free of this. They also use organic ingredients, and they are safe for your vagina most times. They are safe for your vagina. The only disadvantage, the major disadvantage these lubricants have is that they don't last long. So if you're buying it, don't think it's something you can keep forever. Unlike the oil-based can last long. Even the water-based lasts long. The silicone-based last long, but these don't last long, and they are very costly. Very costly. No, you can imagine somebody is bringing something natural ingredients into something. They are very costly. That's one thing. I think they are the costliest of all other lubricants. So that's that about the lubricants. So I've given you 4 different types of lubricants. Sometimes you need to try maybe all to see the one that is suiting for your skin, because some vaginas will react to some, while some will not react. We have different types of vagina, different things that constitute each person's vagina, different bacteria. So sometimes some lubricants will react with some people, while some lubricants would work well with you. So you should consider all those things. Sometimes you need to try, but even without trying, I'm going to tell us some things that we can consider when you're trying to get the right lubricant for yourself. Now, if the essence when you're getting a lubricant is because your vagina is always dry, then I forgot to mention, always warm your lubricant, rub it within your palm, make it warm before you apply it on your vagina or on the penis. Just keep it warm within your vagina. So if you're someone that you always have a dry vagina, it's constant, it's often, then go for silicone lubricant because it lasts longer. But if you're someone that you're prone to yeast, you have yeast infection most time, then you should stay away from lubricants with glycerin, because the glycerin compound can irritate and to reactivate the yeast infection in your vagina. But if you're someone that you're trying to conceive, like you and your husband, you're still planning to give birth, you're having sex because you want to conceive, or it might lead to, like, you're particular about pregnancy, then I would advise that before you get any lubricant, read the label and make sure you're buying the one that writes sperm friendly or fertility friendly on the package. It's always written on it, because some of this lubricant, the components doesn't make sperm effective. So just make sure you're buying the one that has the label, the title, sperm friendly or fertility friendly on the packaging, because some of these lubricants have negative effects on sperm. Now, also, to consider lubricants, you have to consider the option of whether you're using sex toys or not. If you're going to use, like I said earlier, you're using silicone sex toy, then you should not use silicone lubricant. It's going to destroy your toys in the long run. Another thing is that if you're going to be having sex in the shower, then you should consider lubricants that would last even underwater, and that still takes us back to the silicone-based lubricants. That's the advantage. Even underwater, it's staying. Now, if you're going to be using a condom, you should also consider, that's another factor to put in place. Avoid oil-based lubricants at all costs if you're using a condom, because nothing destroys a latex condom quicker than the oil-based lubricants. So you should avoid that if you're going to be using a condom. So these are the basic things to put into consideration before you choose the right kind of lubricant to use. Now, is there anything else that you should look out for before choosing lubricants? You might want to ask, oh, I'm always wet, do I need lubricants? Yeah, sometimes even if you're always wet, you need lubricants. Just have it handy in case, because being always wet, sometimes, when your man is going longer than you expect him to go, the vagina might go dry. You shouldn't spoil the fun. No, don't let this fun stop because of that dry vagina. Have it handy. So in such case, if you're someone that is always wet and you might not need it often, so you just go for lubricants that have longer shelf life. And the only one, like I said earlier, that doesn't have a longer shelf life is the natural based lubricant. So just go for lubricants that have long, so that you know that, okay, it's there. Anytime you need it, you can just reach out, pick it, and let the fun continue. It shouldn't stop, So these are the basic things I'm going to be talking about. So now you understand lubricant and why we need it. Thank you for listening. I still remain your girl, Omolola Natural, and we're still on the series Sex and Marriage. Remember to subscribe and press the bell button so that you can always get the notification from us. Remember to like our page. Remember to tell your friend, and remember to drop your comment. The question for this week is, if you can be wet all day, for how many hours would you actually like to remain wet? Sounds funny, but you'll be surprised that people comment. All right, I look forward to hearing from you. Stay tuned and keep your marriage fun.
Don't get cheesy.
Baby Jalo.